Hey everyone, welcome back to Bit by Knit with me, Jenny. I'm here with you guys today on the west coast of Canada in beautiful British Columbia. And today it is a beautiful, sunny, cold day outside, so I've got my nice cozy sweater on. Today I'm wearing the Misty Pine sweater from Michelle Frazetta, Mishy Fraz on YouTube. And I did this as a test knit for her back in August. I actually started it August the 15th and I finished it September 30th, 2025. And it's a beautiful, warm, cozy sweater. She has a couple of Misty Pines, I think actually two, I should say, Misty Pines patterns. One's a toque and one's a sweater. And with the sweater, she has three different options for the colorwork motif. There's like the bigger, boxier version, my version, which is bigger but also more graduated, and smaller trees on it. And then the sleeves also have two options. I think there's a tapered sleeve, and I chose the balloon sleeve for my version. So yes, that's what I'm wearing today, Misty Pine sweater. For the sweater, I used Drops Sky Held Double, and I used the colors White Fog for the main color, and then I don't know if the order's right, but it's like pistachio, light sea green is in there somewhere, sea green, maybe that one, dark ivy, and then black. I think I pointed those out correctly. Yeah, so that's what I'm wearing today. And I knit a size 3 in this pattern, and I used 5mm needles. Pretty sure, well, actually, I shouldn't say, I don't remember if that's the same needle size that Michelle had to use or not. Okay, anyways, so today we've got one finished object and two whips that I'm going to talk about. I've been trying to focus on getting my languishing whips finished so I can cast on. I've got 3 things I want to cast on. I've actually done one, and I've got 2 more on the list for casting on pretty soon to get started on. So yes, we're just really focusing on one project at a time to get them finished and done and out of the way and starting on new things. My first and only finished object today is my Daft Days cardigan. This is a cardigan by the Crayabea. And I actually was trying to find out when I started it, and I couldn't see where, I don't think I marked down when I started this project, so I don't know how long it's been on my needles for, but I finished it on February the 24th. I know I started it sometime in the fall 2025. Well, I shouldn't say I know. I'm pretty sure I started it sometime in the fall of 2025. So it's been on my needles for several months, and I finally finished her. She's all done. I haven't blocked it yet, and I haven't added buttons yet, but this is what she's looking like. And I have a video of me wearing it unblocked here too, so I'll put that up, a little bit of B-roll there. So for this pattern, you're knitting it bottom up. You're starting with the hem, and then it's like a slip stitch pattern that you're knitting. And so you go all the way up, you split for the sides, like the front panels, I should say, the back, to knit those separately. And then you're putting your stitches on hold at the shoulder seam, so you can do a 3-needle bind off with the back and the side panels here. Once you finished your 3-needle bind off, you're picking up for the sleeves, and you're just knitting it down and in the round. And then you come back and you're actually knitting the button band in 3 separate pieces. So she has you knitting like the 2 side pieces here, and then you pick up for the neckband at the very end. And she has it so she's made it very clear how to accommodate for the buttonholes on both spots. So then I still have my stitch markers around on the buttonhole side, so I know where to line up for my buttons when I put the buttons in. I just thought it'd be easier to see it when I'm putting on the buttons than trying to just see the holes, so I left the stitch markers in. For this cardigan, I did a size C, which is the 3rd size. I used 3.75mm needles for the body, and I think I used 3.25 for the cuffs, the button band, and the hem there. But for the sleeves, I did a size 4. And she actually even mentioned that in the pattern. I think it said something to the effect of some of the test knitters found that the sleeves are a bit tight, and so she recommended, if that were something that you were concerned about, to go up a size, or did she even mention maybe up a needle size, I think was another option. I found that the decreases felt really rapid. I don't know if it looks really obvious or wrap it in the actual cardigan, but like it fits fine. It fits really nice. It's a bit tight and snug on my arm, so I'm hoping with blocking it'll loosen that up a bit. And I mean, like the whole cardigan I think is form-fitting anyways, so if it doesn't, it's not gonna not look correct, I guess, with the rest of the cardigan. It'll still look appropriate for how the cardigan looks. For the yarn for this cardigan, I used yarn from Bramble Ridge. It's her sock base yarn. I want to say it's 75 merino, 15% nylon, I think is, did I say that right? No, I didn't say that right. 85% merino and 15% nylon, I think is the breakdown. I should know this, I work for her. Anyways, her sock yarn, and in the main color, it's the colorway Linum, and for the colorful stripes, for the contrast color, it's her neons. She has a set of 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, yeah, 6, a set of 6 neons. She has it as 100 gram skeins in the fingering weight, 100 gram skeins in the DK weight, but also she has a mini set of all 6 in 50 grams. And so that's what I used. I used the mini set, and it was gifted to me, the neons. And I actually ended up running out of it. I thought I would have plenty of neon yarn. I didn't. So let me think here. Yeah, this was the sleeve that I ran out on. I didn't bother. I thought, well, maybe I should knit this sleeve halfway, knit this sleeve halfway, and then try and manage it for the last little bit. And so they match for what I didn't have enough of, but I was like, nah, I didn't bother. So I finished this whole sleeve. And when I picked up for the sleeve, I got to here. Here, yeah, I think the first orange, that orange stripe when I was running low. So what I ended up doing was, because I was holding it double, I don't know if I mentioned that, I was holding it double because it's a DK weight pattern. I was using the fingering weight yarn. I ended up holding one strand of the neon with one strand of an orange that I had that's pretty similar in color for these ones. And then for the pink one, I did the same. I held one strand of the neon with a strand of coral Surrey from Bramble Ridge that I have on hand. And then for the purple one, I had to get another, I think it was the purple one I had to get another ball of. Yeah, the purple one I had to get another ball for Megan because I just couldn't, I didn't have anything in my stock, in my stash that had a good enough match to the purple that I thought it would look like cohesive and not obvious. So I ended up getting one more of the 50 grams from Megan for this purple, and I didn't run out of the blue, green, or yellow. It was just the orange, the pink, and the purple that I was having issues with, which I found kind of strange. I guess they must repeat more in my cardigan body than the rest of those colors did. So I'll show you what I had to use for the supplemental colors. So this was the orange one. It's pretty close to that neon. It would be obvious, I think, if I had to use it without holding it close to the neon as well, because it's a bit darker. But I think it's fine for like those 2 stripes in the sleeve. It's not noticeable, I don't think anyways. And then this was the Surrey that I used for the sleeve here. I'm going to see if I can, which sleeve was it again? Wait, the sleeve. You can probably tell it does look a little bit fuzzier. And for, yeah, and then just for the purple, I got a good amount still left over of the 50 gram that I had to pick up to make it work for that one. And then I still have this much yellow, green, and blue left over, so like a good amount. And I still have this much of the Linum left over. And that was all of it, right? Yep, that's all of it. So I did pretty good. I think I had 4 skeins of the Linum, and I'm holding it double, so just a little bit over, just a little bit left over. I'll have to think of a fun project to do something with those in. Or I mean, it's just good to have scraps for those kind of colors anyways. So let's bring this up close for you to see the pattern. yeah, I'm pretty happy with it. So the pattern is well written. It's a really nice pattern. I did actually change something on it, I should mention. She has it where you are doing the slip pattern on the knit side, and then you're doing the like just purling on the wrong side. And I flipped that because I didn't want to purl every other round. And so instead I did the slip pattern on the purl side, and I did just knitting across on the right side on the whole body of the cardigan. When you're picking up for the sleeves, it doesn't matter. You're not doing any purling because you're in the round. But for the body, I just switched it so that I didn't have to purl as much. And I think everything else was to her specifications with all the measurements and length and everything. So yeah, I'm happy with it. I will block it after this, and then if it dries before I edit this, I will put another video up here of me wearing the blocked version of it. And maybe I'll put buttons on as well before, like right after I block it, but I only have wooden buttons right now. I was trying to find buttons that I thought would look really good with this. Like I wanted maybe some fun, I wanted some neon buttons, but not like blaringly neon, you know, maybe with a clear background and maybe speckles of neons or something like that. So it doesn't overpower with the neons in it. Or I wanted a similar color to the main color. But every time I was looking on Etsy for something like that, I thought maybe the buttons were looking a little too yellow, and this is more of a beigey, I want to say gray. So anyways, I wasn't happy with what I was finding, so I'm still looking. And in the meantime, I might just throw some wooden ones on. So first work in progress I'm going to talk about is my Nantucket wrap. This is a design by Michelle Frazetta, Michie Fraz on YouTube. I do love her patterns. I did a little video of me wearing it, and I realized I think I was wearing it a little too far back than it's supposed to be worn, but I'll still put it up because it kind of gives the gist of how this is worn. But I'm getting really close to finishing it. I've got the whole one side complete. I've gotten the armhole done. All the way around the back is done. And I've just got a little bit started here on the armhole for the left side, first side of the two sides. So I'm getting pretty close. Once those armholes are done, I just have this much to do. So it's getting there, it's almost done. I'm really hoping to have this done before I start my anacortes sweater, because Michelle is having an anacortes knit along starting next week, sometime pretty soon. Like today is March the 2nd, and I think she's starting it next week. So it'd be amazing if I could get this done, because that is one of my 3 things I want to have cast on this month to get working on, is the anacortes sweater, because I've had that pattern for a little while. I've been really wanting to knit it, but I didn't have yarn that I was wanting to use for it. And then when I went to the Woolly Bulldog a couple weekends ago for the grand opening, I bought some yarn. I think I showed you. This is like a sidebar, by the way. I bought some yarn there, and so this is going to be what I'm using for the anacortes sweater knit along that I'm going to do. So that is going to happen after I finish this. This has got to, I really want to have this finished before I start that. Anyways, so for this Nantucket wrap, I'm using a 4mm needle. I feel like that's the size called for in the pattern. I started this on April 16th, 2025. It's almost been a year. So I better have this done by then at least. I'm using Drops Nord, which is a sport weight yarn, and it is 45% alpaca, 30% polyamide, and 25% wool. Colors are light beige for the main color. And then I've got brick red, rust, goldenrod, forest green, and deep ocean is the blue. Yeah, so that's exciting. We're getting there. And I have actually a lot of the main color left. I wonder if I'm going to have a ton left over. I've got 3 more skeins of the main color and then lots of the contrast color still left, because you're just using a small amount. So I think I'll have lots of leftover yarn after this project. Yeah, that's all I really have to say about this one. We're getting there. And on to my last work in progress. Yes, work in progress. I cast on for my Paris skirt, which is one of the 3 things that I want to have on my needles this month. So at least I'm staying on task. For this skirt, there's quite a bit I want to talk about for the pattern, even though I don't have much of it done. In her pattern, she has you cast on a certain number of stitches because it's supposed to be an oversized cast on. And then when you put the elastic band in for the waist, you're cinching it really good to fit your waist size so that the skirt really ruffles when it's draping on you, when it's all finished. So the elastic goes in at the end. I mean, you probably could put it in sooner, but I think it's easier to knit it when it's at the end. I'd like to knit it down before you put that in. So I don't have the elastic in yet. She has you cast on a certain number of stitches, and she actually has in her pattern, it's a stockinette waistband, but I have such a hard time picking up the stitches from the cast on edge and knitting them together with the stitches on my needle to make that folded waistband, because you're putting your elastic band inside that fold, that I did a rib instead to make it easier for picking up those stitches. And in her pattern, I think she also uses fingering weight yarn, and I used a sport weight. Yeah, I think this is a sport weight yarn. The yarn that she suggests for the waistband is actually like she suggests a merino or not the Surrey anyways, just to give it a bit more structure. So I had some leftover yarn from Bramble Ridge here. She doesn't carry this base anymore. It's her woolen spun in the colorway Mist, I believe is what I used. I believe that's the colorway. I should say that is the yarn that I used for my waistband. And I still have a good amount left. This was close to a full skein when I picked it up to use on this waistband. And then she has you knit a few rounds before you switch to the Surrey, just to give it a bit more structural integrity. That was weird. Just to give you a bit more structural integrity. And then you switch to your Surrey, and she has you do increases, but also she's having you change your needle size as you're knitting up the skirt, so that you're getting that volume from those two changes. So a couple of things I want to note about this pattern, in case anybody was interested in looking into it. She has written this pattern out in her size, like the size that she knit for her version is what you're getting for the actual pattern. She does have a section before the pattern where she makes notes about what you might want to do in order to size it up or size it down to fit you better. But she doesn't actually provide that information as part of the pattern. So it's not laid out in a way that you would expect in a pattern where it has size 1, 2, 3, 4, A, B, C, D, up to, usually goes up to 5XL if it's a size inclusive pattern. She's suggesting that her pattern is from a 5-year-old to a 2XL. She does talk about how she's knit this size for her children and just really cinches it in, so it's quite a voluminous skirt for her kids. But she says you can decrease, and she gives the amount of stitches that she would suggest decreasing per size to get a size that's similar to what it looks like on her. So if you wanted to get this pattern and you don't have her body size, it's not going to look the same unless you adjust your stitch count. She suggests that you can knit it with these stitches in the pattern up to a size 2XL without making any adjustments, but then you're not going to get that same cinched look when you put the elastic in. I feel like if you were to knit this as a 2XL, you would get very little cinching and the drape would be different. So it's just a heads up if anybody were thinking of purchasing this pattern. It says it's adaptable sizing when you look at the pattern on Ravelry, which it technically is because she gives you information to how to adjust it. But I don't think that she actually had people, I don't think she had a test knit group that knit different sizes because it's not actually included in the pattern, it's just suggested. This pattern cost me $12 Canadian. It's €7. And also I wanted to note that there's no short rows in the pattern. So sometimes you'll see with designers, like when Maya Degalon knit her Skeeter skirt pattern, she found that some test knitters needed some short rows added to make sure that bottom part of the skirt, sorry, the back part of the skirt was the same length at the bottom as the front of the skirt if they had a different waist size to their hip size. So I think she actually ended up adding in short rows or suggesting where to add in short rows for her pattern to make it so that it ended at the same point on the bottom for both the back and the front. This doesn't have short rows included. So if you have a different enough size of hips to your waist, you might need to figure out how to add short rows as well. Yeah. Okay, so that's all I wanted to say about the skirt for information if anybody was curious about buying it, just a bit more info that's not provided on the Ravelry listing to how the pattern actually is in the, when you buy it in the written instructions. So yeah, anyways, there we go. So far I've gotten, I've gotten a little bit done in the mohair section here. I'm using mohair. I got a few different kinds of mohair that I'm using. The one that I started with was mohair I bought from Knit Picks. It's their Aloft in this, was it Palomino Heather colorway. I have like 11 or 12 of these. So I started with this. I tried to do a little bit of math to try and make it so that I'm going to have stripes in it, but I want them to be even stripes. And I have more of this than the other one. So anyways, I tried to do some math. We'll see if it'll actually work out. I'm starting with this. I'm holding it 3 strands at a time. I think in the pattern she is holding it double. I'm holding it triple. So I've got 3 of these held together. Once I reach, I think I wanted to do 18 rounds in the 3 of these held triple before I switch out one and add in this one, which is Surrey from Bramble Ridge in her mist color. So I've got 2 of these. So I wanted to hold 2 with 1 for a few rounds and then switch this out with, so then I'll switch this out with this one and hold 2 of these with 1 of these. And then I'll go back to 2 of these with 1 of these, and then all 3 of these, and in that kind of a color pattern. And I think I'll have enough to make it work with just that, but I do have my browns in here in case I run out and I need to do a little bit more, then I'll just have the bottom hem in brown. And I think that'll look nice because it's like all within the same color palette. I think, pinks, except for the brown, but that's okay. Yeah, so that's where we're at. I've got a couple more rounds of the Aloft before I switch to my Aloft held with Surrey. Oh, I should say that Surrey is also Surrey from Bramble Ridge in the colorway Coral. Okay. Yeah, so there we go. That is what I've been working on when I'm not working on the Nantucket wrap. And I haven't done the second sock at all. I think last episode I showed you one finished sock. I haven't even cast on for the second one still. I really, really want to pick up on my blanket again too in the near future. So I feel like I'll finish my Nantucket wrap. I'll have my skirt pattern on. I'll have my anacortes pullover on. I want to start on my husband's sweater because I think that's going to be a little bit challenging for me, even though it'll knit up fast, but it's going to be, I want to steek it. And I have my own color work chart that I'm going to be trying and attempting to make work. So I think that it might take a bit of time. So I want to get that going. And then once I finish one of those, which will probably be the anacortes sweater first, I want to use some of my extra time to get that blanket going again. And then maybe when I finish whichever one I finish first, I'll pick up for another sweater. Whew, there we go. Long-term goals. Okay, so I think that's everything I have to talk about. I have no acquisitions. I was very good. I shouldn't say I have no acquisitions. I don't have any acquisitions, but I did buy an advent calendar yesterday. But I don't have it yet. I just purchased it. It'll come in November. So does that count? I don't know. I bought the advent calendar for Ginger Snap Yarns. I think that's right. Ginger Snap Yarns. Yeah. I bought their sock. Where did I put it? I had bought their sock set advent last year and I really like it. I really want to use it. I can't wait to use it. I have a maybe plan for it, but it's not set in stone. So if something better comes along, then I hope to make this, like I've got 4 of them into a sweater. So I went back to, so I did another Ginger Snap advent, but it's not a sock set one. I did a 12-day one this time around and it's based on Little House on the Prairie. So that's very exciting. That's what I bought, but it doesn't really count because it's not here yet, but I spent the money. So I don't know. Anyways, All right. Yeah, so that's it for today, and I hope you guys enjoyed. It's probably a quicker episode because I didn't have too much to share, but I'll see you in the next one. Bye.